The observation deck of the stellar nexus hummed with the quiet conversations of a dozen alien species. Maya stood near the viewport, her azure skin shimmering under the artificial lighting, her elongated fingers wrapped around a glass of Zentarian wine. She was a dignitary from the Kyrie Empire, elegant and composed, her crystalline eyes scanning the crowd with practiced indifference. That's when she noticed him, a human, rare in this sector of the galaxy. He sat alone at a corner table, his daughter, no more than 7 standard years, coloring on a datapad while he watched her with the kind of intensity that spoke of both love and exhaustion. His clothes were worn but clean, his jaw shadowed with stubble, and his eyes carried the weight of someone who had seen too much. Maya felt an unexpected pang of sympathy. Humans were still considered primitive by most galactic standards, barely a century into their spacefaring age. What was one doing here, in the heart of the Nexus, surrounded by species that had conquered the stars millennia ago? She approached gracefully, her diplomatic training guiding every step. "Excuse me," she said in perfectly accented galactic common. "Would you like to sit somewhere more comfortable? The lounge has better seating, and your daughter might enjoy the hollow garden." Essa looked up, his dark eyes meeting hers. For a moment, something flickered there. Caution, perhaps calculation. But then he smiled, and it softened his entire face. "That's kind of you, but we're fine here. Thank you." His voice was calm, measured, nothing remarkable, and yet Maya found herself lingering. "I'm Maya of House Stellara," she introduced herself, offering the traditional Kyrie gesture of goodwill, palm pressed to her chest, then extended outward. "Essa," he replied simply, mimicking the gesture with surprising accuracy. "And this is my daughter, Zara." The little girl looked up briefly, gave Maya a shy wave, then returned to her coloring. She was drawing something that looked like a starship, crude but enthusiastic. Maya couldn't help herself. She sat down across from them, uninvited but welcomed by Essa's slight nod. "It's unusual to see humans this far from Terra. Are you traveling for work?" "Something like that," Essa said, his attention shifting briefly to the viewport where the swirling colors of a nearby nebula painted the darkness. "Just passing through." There was a story there. Maya sensed it. She had interviewed countless beings in her career as a cultural liaison, and she knew evasion when she heard it. But she also recognized exhaustion, the bone-deep weariness of someone carrying burdens too heavy to share. "The Nexus can be overwhelming," she offered gently, "especially for newcomers to the galactic community." Essa's lips quirked into something between a smile and a grimace. "You'd be surprised what humans can handle." Before Maya could respond, the deck shuddered. Not violently, but enough to send ripples through drinks and draw alarmed murmurs from the crowd. The ambient lighting flickered, then stabilized. "Attention!" a synthesized voice announced through the station's comm system. "Minor gravitational anomaly detected in Sector 7. All personnel remain calm. Security is investigating." Maya's crystalline eyes widened slightly. Gravitational anomalies didn't just happen on stations like the Nexus. They were protected by the most advanced technology in the galaxy, shielded by fields that could withstand black hole tidal forces. But Essa didn't look surprised. He looked resigned. "Zara," he said quietly, "pack up your things." The girl obeyed instantly, no questions, no complaints. That struck Maya as odd. Children didn't typically respond with such military precision. Another shudder. Stronger this time. The lights flickered longer, and somewhere in the distance, an alarm began to wail. Panic spread through the observation deck like wildfire. Aliens of every species scrambled for the exits, their composure abandoned. Maya's training kicked in, and she stood, preparing to coordinate an evacuation. Then she felt it. A presence. Not physical, but psychic. A pressure against her consciousness that made her telepathic senses scream in warning. Every Kyrie possessed minor telepathic abilities, enough to sense emotions and general thoughts. But this was like standing before a tidal wave. She turned to Essa, and what she saw froze her in place. He was standing now, his daughter behind him, and his eyes, his ordinary human eyes, were glowing with a faint golden light. The air around him seemed to shimmer, reality itself bending like heated glass. "Maya," he said, and his voice carried harmonics that no human voice should possess. "I need you to evacuate everyone from this deck, now." "What? What are you?" "Someone who's been hiding," Essa replied. "Someone who needs to stop hiding for the next 5 minutes." The station shuddered again, and through the viewport, Maya saw it. A tear in space itself, a jagged wound in reality from which something massive was beginning to emerge. A void leviathan, ancient, sentient, and utterly destructive. They were myths, legends that even the oldest species only whispered about. Essa stepped toward the viewport, and Zara called out, "Be careful, Papa." "Always am, sweetheart." Maya wanted to run, wanted to follow her instincts and flee, but she was rooted in place, watching as this ordinary-looking human father raised his hands. The golden light intensified, spreading from his eyes to his entire body, and she felt the psychic pressure increase until it was almost painful. Then Essa spoke, and reality listened. Words in no language Maya recognized poured from him, each syllable vibrating with power that made the station's hull resonate like a bell. The tear in space began to seal, the Leviathan's roar of frustration shaking the stars themselves. Essa's body blazed like a sun, and Maya understood in that moment why humans were feared by some of the oldest species. They weren't primitive. They were young gods learning to walk. The tear sealed. The Leviathan vanished. The station stabilized. Essa staggered, the light fading from his eyes, and Zara was there instantly, supporting her father despite her small size. He looked at Maya, exhausted but alert. "The secret," he said softly, "is that some humans aren't just human anymore, and some of us just want to raise our kids in peace." Maya could only nod, speechless, as father and daughter walked away.